Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Global Footballer Podcast. I'm Monish, and with me is Deepak and Arafat. We are back after some time. The Christmas and New Year games were done, and let's talk about the new Spursy team this season. Arsenal doing their spectacular mid-break capitulation as usual. Arafat, big-time Arsenal fan. You can see half the scarf still in the frame right now. So I guess he's still supporting Arsenal. What do you think about the last two games? What do you think about Arsenal, about their prospects, and what do you think basically?
Yeah, I think going into the festive break, we couldn't have gone into it much any better. I thought the best game of our season was against Brighton, like complete control. Uh, we just didn't allow them any space, any chances, nothing at all. It was easily the best game with lots of forward passing, which has been a criticism of late. Lots of central progression as well. But and then we went to Liverpool, got an early goal. Arteta's game state was achieved in those first 10 minutes, but then lost a little bit of control. Um, Defensively, Zinchenko against Salah was always going to be a huge mismatch, and proved so. Salah with a great goal, no doubt about that. And maybe Liverpool missed a easy chance for 4v1, and Trent missed a sitter. But uh, it wasn't like Arsenal did not regain control, so they just got back into the game. We had a few more chances as well, but I think 1-1 was a great result going into Anfield and getting that maybe even better than the 2-2 from last season as well, because this season Liverpool are easily much more stronger. But after that, I think it's probably, very leggy, or just no, they didn't turn up for. Barely turned up for West Ham. We had like 30 shots on target, on goal, but most of them were like very, very, you know, not really strong chances or opportunities, except for a couple. I think we hit the bar post twice, and but yeah, I mean that was a day that just didn't go well, and would have ended up worse. I mean, Declan Rice giving a penalty in the way he did against his club, I think just summed up the whole performance. And then last game, it was just pathetic performance. They had absolutely no. I think we barely got into Fulham's box. Against West Ham, at least, we got into the box so many times and so many shots. So uh, I would say the last two games is maybe just a dip in form because of the cramped scheduling in the festive period. They're just tired. And I mean, a team that played so well against Brighton, really well against Liverpool, cannot just suddenly, uh, drop off. But uh, yeah, so but there are a few concerns, mainly in terms of Saka, Martinelli not getting enough goals, at least particularly Martinelli. And one area of concern I would say is we seem to be just giving the ball to Saka and Martinelli and just hoping for some sort of a miracle, like, okay, go beat your, they're often doubled up or even tripled up against, and just go beat them and score a
What
goal
do you
kind of
make of
situation.
Rice and Havertz in the middle of the park, Arfat? Because
I think
in
Rice, in terms of defensive ability, there is no doubt, there is no question.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
we are
does he need more
breaking up.
support? And does Havertz give that support?
Defensively, not much, because I think uh, Rice with Saliba and Gabriel as a triangular unit in the back perform okay. Not they're not too bad. A lot of the goals that we considered recently are either of set pieces from corners,
Yeah,
and or individual errors,
yeah.
like Salah's
But
goal.
I feel you are always susceptible to the counter sometimes as well. because you end up in
Um,
that triangle with Rice, Gabriel, and Saliba, and on the
ye-
wings.
ye- yeah, the wings are somewhat empty, especially with Zinchenko going in.
Yeah,
Uh, but I think that is by design. Arteta is
is
just
that a mistake from
set up like
Arteta?
that.
He used to
I
invert
don't think it's a mistake. I think
Zinchenko a
he's
lot,
just
doesn't he? Does he still?
he does, but because I think going forward, Zinchenko is just really good. He's
Mm,
he's like maybe a Trent light in terms of attacking, not in terms of passing, but not in terms of like playing the long ball or this thing, but in terms of finding good passes or progressing the play centrally, he's
yeah.
very, very
What
important.
would you
But
want to see from Arteta though? Like, what do you think he should change?
uh, I'm frankly not very sure what he could change. Maybe you'll have to cut this segment because I look like an idiot. But but I think couple of things. Maybe when Partey comes back, that might he's a good central uh, passer of the ball. He finds Odegaard easily. And I think in a sense, they solved that issue a little bit with Odegaard dropping deeper and receiving the ball from the defense and using Odegaard as part of the build-up, like a deep number eight playmaker kind of a role. So that has helped a bit. You can see Odegaard's form is slightly improved, I think, compared to a couple of months back.
Yeah,
So
but
and then
that always confuses me because that sort of role I felt was what Havertz was in the team to do. And then Odegaard is being trying to do same sort of role.
I
Have they
maybe
gotten in
would.
each other's way somewhat?
I think
Do
I
you?
would slightly disagree because I think technically Odegaard is the better player, would
Yeah,
be able to
100%. Yep.
beat the press, find a man. Havertz is more of a physical figure at the front of the pitch where he can play over a press and to lay up. And I think same issue with Chelsea. There is no well-defined role for Havertz. He is, you could see against, I mean, the goals against Luton and Brentford. He just found his the right spot at the right time. Even against Villa, actually, he scored the disallowed goal, but he was in the right place at the right time, kind of a
Yeah.
person. So, but yeah, even with Havertz, there's a lot of sideways passing. He kind of slows down the attack a little bit, which, if I would want to improve, I think we should improve on the pace of the play. There's just, especially against
Very slow.
um, very, very slow. We just slow down once we reach the halfway line. Lot of sideways and backward passing.
I think that's a
When we
very
could
valid point. I think when I
when
was
we
looking
couldn't
at
easily
this,
pass. I mean, there's so many through ball opportunities which they don't really,
yeah,
take. And
I think
the other thing
Arsenal are
is,
a extremely well drilled team, and I think the
yeah,
problem is Arsenal are perhaps too well drilled to the
yeah, I
point
think
that they don't really
who,
go away from their patterns of play. They are
yeah,
very
was it?
consistent with
Yeah,
their
I think
patterns of play.
I think yeah, it was Jamie Carragher who also said the same point. They're a bit too organized.
Too
He
organized, yeah.
likes to
They
see a
just
bit more magic. Or
it sort of makes it easy for opposing teams to know what's coming. Whether
yeah,
they can deal with it or
yeah.
not is a
See,
different issue. But what do you think, Monish?
so basically, it's just this one very very obvious thing. Arsenal plays a certain way, as you mentioned, with Odegaard pulling back and Martinelli getting those balls and Saka being there as another outlet. The striker not really pulling a defender either way because not really big physical strikers. That's their style of play with whatever it is, Zinchenko cutting in or whatever it is. That is their style of play. They had the same style of play last year with their players in very good form and played to the best of their ability at a very good level and reached second last season with all of that happening, isn't it? So unless you think that maybe last year was a lack of mentality and nothing else, because these players are good, they are really good players,
No, but I
they
think
play in a
teams
very good
wise up to
system.
it, don't they?
No, no,
Usually
Yeah,
what I'm
I
teams
trying
can
to
think
say
figure out
is
patterns.
exactly. No, what I'm trying to say is after doing all of that and reaching second last year, You don't expect them to win this year doing the same thing. Unless City had a big drop off, which it looked like it was happening. So Arsenal needs to change at least something in terms of the attacking play, some aspect. Get a different sort of player, get a different creator. Now you say that, oh, there's no spark, there's no individual ability, but there are no players of that sort. This team is made in such a way in which there are players with individual ability. But I mean, now the Manchester City team also was. I mean, Arsenal was a poor man's old Manchester City team before Haaland, you could say, isn't it? They had players of this sort. Uh, Odegaard is a poor man's De Bruyne and all of that. Jesus is taken from there. Zinchenko is taken from there. But then what happened was they had someone like a Mahrez, and then they got someone like a Grealish, who could create something out of nothing, who could just give one great pass, who could dribble past a single player and just open up the game. Arsenal needs some spark, some attacking spark. Yes, they fixed up Declan Rice in midfield, but in terms of attacking ability, they still have the same formations. Teams wise up to it. In spite of that, it's a very effective formation. As long as it works, it works. Like Mo Salah, we were discussing about. He does that one thing. He does it so well, so
Yeah,
very well. Even now, he's ripping up the Premier League, and nobody's realizing that how good he is.
yeah,
So that,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think for me the most
I mean
concerning
that.
part is
yeah,
Martinelli's form. I think,
yeah.
and he has been
No
the
doubt.
big drop off from last season.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
do you think that is, Arafat? And do you think
I
Trossard needs
I
a
think one
sustained run
reason
of
is
games?
because of the slow build up. I mean, two reasons. One is the slow. Some games are very slow in build up. The other reason I feel is teams have, kind of sussed out Arsenal and they go for a mid-low block and when Martinelli or Saka get the ball, immediately there are two defenders on him, and you can see the difference between Martinelli in Premier League this season, not great form, versus Martinelli in Champions League this season, where he has goals like literally every game he has scored a goal.
Deepak, do you remember the
Because
Champions League? It was the league where our two teams were at last year, I think.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, Martinelli in Champions League has been excellent. He has goals in every game of the Champions League because teams are looking more to attack. Nobody wants to just go for a low block for most of the
Yeah.
game and get a draw in Champions League. So yeah, I think a combination of those factors. Maybe if we move the ball faster to Martinelli on that wing and he gets a proper one-on-one run against the defender and has space to play behind him. I mean, behind the defender, then you would see more of him. But right
I think
now, with teams
Martinelli's
in the box and barely any space between the defender and the touchline, byline, there's not much space for him to do a
Yeah,
lot.
Martinelli's drop
And
of form has made Saka all the more important. And I think
yeah,
there's a lot of focus on
and
him, and teams are
a
doubling,
lot of
tripling up on
focus.
him,
Yeah.
which negates his
And
effectiveness too.
frankly, we look like we're just okay, pass the ball to Saka and then
Yeah,
hope for some miracle kind of thing, which
he
has
does
been the
produce from
story in the
time to
last.
time, but he can't do.
Yeah,
Nobody can do it
but even
consistently.
yeah, exactly.
A-
Nobody can do it, and
Again,
even with Saka, you need bit more space, or if he has space
Saka
behind to
is
run.
not that
Yeah.
fast.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
rapid, I think.
space has
But
never been like he's not like Salah pace, but I think he's
Exactly.
a very tricky. He
yeah,
can
I
go
Very
into
good.
the
each
problem is
each
pace is
foot
far
or
less effective when you're facing a mid or a low block because there's
low
not enough
block.
space to
True,
run inside
space
behind
behind.
teams,
Yeah,
and that's a problem that most top teams face in the Premier League. I don't think anybody apart from Manchester City or Liverpool. In their pomp, have actually managed to consistently beat a mid and low block and find ways through it. There's no team in the Premier League which can
yeah,
consistently tear apart a well-organized mid-low block defense, apart from these two.
yeah,
So I don't think Arsenal need to be really sad about that because it's growing pains,
y-
but they do need to find some game changer. And I think the only
yeah.
way forward is to
So
make in a proper number nine or throw your money
But
at a
if
game
you
changer.
but if you get a proper number nine, what position will you give Jesus?
He can sit on the
That's
bench, in my
the
opinion.
that's what
no. I think
did he?
he provides a lot of I mean, he basically acts like a playmaking number 9 kind of a role.
But play them both
So,
together. Ivan Tony and Jesus up top. Mix it up.
Oh, by the way, okay,
but
one
then
question.
instead of
What's the
Havertz, then
what's the news? What's the news about Arsenal? Anyone they're going for?
I don't think. I mean, the recent news that I read today is they're not willing to go with, spend 100 million for Tony, which is the asking
Yeah.
price by Brentford. And I don't know if Brentford will want to sell Ivan Tony, considering their table position right now, and
Yeah.
they're just above
Brentford
the
have said I
relegation
think only
spot.
a ludicrous fee will make them sell Tony
Yeah,
out.
but
Oh.
well, hopefully, hope for the
Anyways,
best.
so that's it about Arsenal. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe, people.